Back again for day 13. I got in 4 films. First up was Whir. William Bell directed this in 2013. This is a werewolf film and a really intriguing one. An attorney is working with a client that's been accused of murder, who's kind of like a wild man looking person. And it turns out that we've got a werewolf on our hands, but not your typical werewolf film. This film, this was much more, I think, realistic in terms of what might happen if you actually could turn into a werewolf. It's just like The Wild Man of Borneo, but it's a really good film. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I watched it on a streaming service. Whir is a definite thumbs up, 7.5 out of 10. I liked the story. I liked the transformation into the werewolf. I mean, it was believable to the extent that you're going to accept that a person could turn into a werewolf. I mean, it's more like turning into a wild cave person or something like that. But yeah, I thought it was really good. Next up, 1988's 976 Evil, directed by Robert Englund. Stephen Jeffries in this. This is a film that kind of played into the fact that these 976 exchange numbers in the 80s were just all the rage. I mean, when you watch late night television in the late 80s, all you saw was these advertisements, call this number for just anything. I mean, it was just, you were just inundated with it. And this film kind of parlays that. It's basically about a number that you call that ends up turning you into a possessed person or a werewolf, kind of some kind of a monster creation. This is kind of a slow film, and honestly for me, I mean, this doesn't hold up to multiple watches. I've seen it a bunch of times, and unless there's some nostalgia involved, unfortunately for me, this one just seems to get downgraded in terms of my rating and enjoyability with every watch. So I give it a 6 out of 10. I think to a large extent you can understand why Robert Englund didn't have a whole lot of directorial films after this, because it's just not very good, honestly. It's not an interesting story. I mean, for a one-time watch, if you've never seen it, okay, but after that, it just doesn't hold up at all. This release has some special features on it. All right, next up, we're kind of hitting some duds here finally in the month of October. I've had a good run of great movie watching, but now we're going to get into some dud territory. First up is 31, Rob Zombie. Yeah. Watched it on Shudder, and it was just one of those things where it's been in my queue, and I just decided to watch it. I really wish I hadn't. I mean, it's a horrible, pathetic movie. I don't know what to say other than I mean, I'm not a Rob Zombie hater. I'm kind of indifferent to the Halloween films. My only problem with this Halloween films is when you deconstruct Michael Myers, you lose a lot of the scariness, the mystery, the intrigue. When you explain away Michael Myers, I think you lose a lot of what is horrific about and scary about Michael Myers. That's my only issue with those films. Too much backstory, too much explaining everything, and the fact that he becomes a person. But back to 31. I think 31 is actually technically incompetent. For the first, I think Rob Zombie's movies, particularly not the Halloween films, but basically the Sid Haig films, those were interesting and stylish, and they have interesting melding of modern rock music into the horror movie storyline. Lots of gore, lots of savage action. But this one lacked. This one had all the gore. It had all the nasty characters, but it was really poorly done. I mean, it's some of the worst action sequences I've ever seen. I mean, I think it was an attempt. It was like it's like a shaky cam during an action scene with a lot of flickering lights and a lot of movement. You don't really see anything because you can't see anything because it's so poorly shot and poorly directed that whatever artistry he was going for was completely lost on me. I mean, so I obviously I hated 31. Period. I mean, I don't even want to talk about it because it'll get me pissed off. But I think it's total shit. I mean, and it's probably those kind of movies are the kind of things I think make people probably so, sensitive to Rob Zombie, and he's like a divining rod. Well, this film for me is the first time where I can understand the people that are kind of in the Rob Zombie hater camp. It's horrible, terrible movie. And then to finish out the duds, Texas Chainsaw Next Generation. Oh man. Of course, I've seen this one a bunch of times too. When I put this into the player, I thought, well, I'm really just going to try to have a blank slate. I'm gonna wipe my mind clear and just give this movie a shot, just purely on its own merits. I'm just going to watch it, try to avoid any comparisons or history or all that. And I did it. I think I honestly made an attempt to do that, and it's just shit. It really is a terrible movie in almost every aspect. Kim Hinkle. Kim Hinkle, this was his original vision for the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he made this because he wanted to portray his original vision, which he didn't feel happened in the 1970-some movie, the original Texas Chainsaw. All I can say is thank God that he was not able to do that, but unfortunately we get this crapper that I wish he had not been able to put his vision on screen because it's just crap. Total crap, unadulterated crap. One comparison I'd like to make to this is, you got the original Omen, and then you got the sequel. And if you line up character for character, remake, actors, and that character, and who played that character with the original, in all facets, the original blows away the remake. The remake is bad on every single count. This film is very similar in that respect, because when you start going down and comparing, sizing up all the actors and matching them up to what the original film was, this loses on every count. It's not just the transvestite Leatherface. Every character just doesn't even compare to the acting and the chemistry of the first film. And it just goes to show you, celluloid magic happens, and it's almost sometimes very hard to put your finger on that chemistry that can make a movie so great in terms of the character and the story and the setting and those type of things, and you just have the wrong elements, and you just get crap versus a masterpiece. So yeah, this is just. I will say that I think Matthew McConaughey, he went ballistically nuts, and I mean so over the top. I think he really, really tried. Obviously, he tried, but even he, I think, he just doesn't. He doesn't match up to. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Anyway. It's really is that bad. Terrible movie, 2 out of 10, total crap, and it's just a shame that Kim Hinkle was actually given money to fund his vision, because his vision is shit. This is just total shit. So, all right, hopefully we'll get to some better movies tomorrow. Thanks for watching.